Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to Facebook Live Storytime. Here can we start over?
No, we're live.
I'm sorry. Welcome to Facebook Live Storytime here at the Community Action Program Committee, Head Start. I'm Ms. Muhammed. I work at the Cantonment Center, and if you like this story, hit the like button and leave a comment. Today we are going to be reading Pablos Tree. This is the title of the book. And the author of the book, the person who wrote the words in this book, the words, is Pat Mora. The illustrator, the person who drew the pictures, is Cicely Lane. Pablos Tree. I'm ready, Mama, I say. I'm ready for my birthday visit to Lito's. Hurry, Mama. I want to see my tree. I wonder if Lito, my grandfather, remembered. I wonder if he remembered to decorate my tree, I ask. Mama, did Abuelito decorate my tree? Your grandfather does not forget to decorate your tree, Pablo. Do you have your suitcase? What new birthday toys are you taking to Abuelito's? Asked Mama. I've got my purple car, my book about whales, my tambourine, and my flute, I say. Boys and girls, a tambourine and a flute is a type of instrument that we play. Every year I spend the night after my birthday at my grandfather's house. We sit under my tree. We play with my new toys. Every year Lito decorates my tree for my birthday visit. Maybe my grandfather forgot. Are you sure he didn't forget? I ask. I'm sure, says Mama. He's getting in the car to go to his Abuelito's house. Please tell me, Mama, I say. Tell me what Lito put on my tree. Is it lights? Is it little piñatas? Piñatas is a type of, you put candy in it. It's filled with candy. You can hang it from a tree, and most people use it for birthday parties. And they hit it and candy falls out. Mama smiles. Pablo, she says, don't you like surprises? Come, let's see your tree. As we drive along, I ask, is it little animals? Is it candy? My mother just smiles and winks. Can anyone wink? Good job. Lito, I say, I'm here. Lito opens the screen door. His face is happy, like a full moon. Lito gives my mother a kiss and a hug. Lito, I say, I brought my new birthday toys. We can sit under my tree and play with my toys all day and all night. And remember, boys and girls, before we left school, we were talking about trees and we were learning many things about trees. So let's see what his tree will be. Lito and my mother laugh. Pablo, says Lito, hugging me. ¿Cómo está mi nieto grande? That means how is my big grandson? So ¿Cómo está mi nieto grande means how is my big grandson? That's what his grandfather said to him in Spanish. Sometimes we speak different languages in our homes, and they are speaking Spanish. I give Lito a giant hug. He almost falls down. Pablo, says Mama, cuidado. And cuidado in Spanish means be careful. But Lito likes my giant hugs. Let's go see my tree, I say. Hurry, hurry, Lito. I take Lito's hand and I pull him to the back door. There's his tree, boys and girls. When I see my tree, I run to it. I touch the tiny colored bells and wind chimes. Ooh, I say. I run around the tree, touching the bells and chimes. The wind blows and my tree jingles and rings. So boys and girls, I'm going to show you a bell. This is a bell. He has a bell on his tree. And he has wind chimes. A wind chime, you can hang it from your porch or a tree. And when the wind blows, it makes like a dinging sound. Can you hear the ding sound? It makes its own music. And this is a butterfly. And we see butterflies in the springtime. So this is a wind chime, boys and girls. I give Lito another giant hug. And again, I almost knock him down, but he just smiles. Mama gives each of us a goodbye kiss. We take her to her car. We put my suitcase in my room. Lito throws me an apple. We take the bag of toys out to the table under my tree. Lito plays my flute. He says, Pablo, do you remember the story of your tree? I run around and around my tree. I touch the branches so the bells and chimes ring. I shake my tambourine. So remember, boys and girls, we talk about the parts of the tree, and a branch is part of the tree. And this is a branch, if you don't remember. This is a branch that we discussed during our unit of when we learned about trees. And from his tree, from the branches of his trees, hung chimes. He had a chime on his tree. And he had bells hanging from his tree. So he had a very special tree from him, from his grandfather. Lito plays my flute. He says, Pablo, do you remember the story of your tree? I run around and around my tree. I touch the branches. Remember we just talked about the branches? So the bells and chimes ring, and I shake my new tambourine. One day my mother came to this house. I say, yes, says Lito. Your mother said, I am going to adopt a baby. Adopt means when you don't have children, and sometimes people, mommies and daddies can't have children, they go adopt a child of their own. And Lito has been adopted by his mother. So he has a new family. Your mother said, I'm going to adopt a baby. I went to the nursery down the street and brought a small tree. I said, este árbol es para mi nieto. So he went to a nursery. So we have nurseries for babies where babies where they have cribs and changing tables. That's called a baby nursery. But we also have a plant nursery where you take care of plants. And this is a nursery for plants. And este árbol es para mi nieto means this tree is for my grandson. Your mother said, ay, Papa, what if the baby is a girl? I said, I love girls, but this tree is for my boy. If it's a boy, he will have your name. He will be Pablo too, said your mother. So his mom named him after his grandfather. Some of you children are named after your mommies or your daddies or your grandmothers or your grandfathers. Lito stops and smiles. Then he asks, "What did we buy for the new baby, Pablo?" "You and Mama bought bottles and blankets for me," I say. "Yes," says Lito, laughing. We waited and waited for the phone to ring. We waited for the words to come for your baby. I watered your tree, but I didn't plant it. I waited for you. So Abulito, he left it in the pot. He didn't plant it inside the ground, because when you plant something in the ground, that's when it's going to grow from the roots. Well, it has roots in the pot, but when you dig a hole and put it in the ground, it grows really, really big. First, I put the little tree in the front yard near the sidewalk. "No," I said, "this pot is too noisy for my boy's tree." And then I put it there in the rose garden, I say. "But you saw too many thorns. Then you put my tree here." So thorns are little sticky things that sticks out of vines and flower beds, and they're really pokey. And there's a butterfly, just like we had on the wind chime. There's a butterfly in the story. One day, says Lito, the phone rang. Your mother called. Her voice was full of smiles. She said, "Papa, guess what?" I said, When do I see my boy?" Your mother laughed and laughed. She said, "Papa, how did you know?" "I put your tree by the front door to welcome you. I washed my face and I combed my hair." That's something that we do every morning before we come to school. Most of us, we wash our faces and we comb our hair and we get ready for school. Or even when we're getting ready for something special. And Abulito is getting ready for something very special. I looked out the window and waited for your mother's car. I went out front and walked back and forth, back and forth. Seems like he was nervous. To me, it seems like he was nervous. What do you think? Well, do you guys remember the story that we read, Wimberly Worried? Remember, she worried and she was nervous about everything? Well, that's what Abulito reminds me of, Wimberly, because he was nervous. He was worried about getting to see his new. Well, he was excited. Wimberly always worried, but he was excited. Then I saw it. I watched your mother lift you out so carefully. I looked at you and you looked at me. Your mother said, "Hold him, Papa. Hold Pablo." You fit just right in my arms, I said. "Pablo, come see your tree." Then I said, "Come, let's plant Pablo's tree." So there they are, planting Pablo's tree. Your mother held you while I got my shovel and watering can, says Lito. Carefully, I dug a hole and planted your tree here in the sun. So this is called a watering can. And this is what we use to water flowers and plants and trees and things like that. Anything that we want to grow, you can use a watering can. And Abulito put it in the sun, and the sun is something that we need to help plants grow. Plants, flowers, and trees. We need the sun, we need water, and we need wind to help our plants and trees grow, and rain. I say, and the tree grew and grew like me. On your first birthday, says Lito, I hung streamers on your little tree. Yellow, orange, red. And these are called streamers. And this is what was on his tree, see? He had yellow streamers. This is called a streamer. And sometimes we use these for birthday parties. You can use them for different crafts and art activities that you do. But Abdulito got creative and he put it on a tree for Pablo. And this was his first birthday. So that means that Pablo was 1 year old. I carried you out to see them, and I grabbed them with my fist, I say. On your second birthday, I tied balloons of every color, says Lito. You ran around and around your tree. I lifted you up to touch your balloons. You did not let me rest. So Pablo was very excited because his grandfather put balloons on every branch of different colors on his tree. And these are called balloons, and I know you guys know what balloons are because lots of people have balloons at birthday parties. So these are different color balloons. We have red, yellow, green, and blue. And Pablo had different color balloons all over his tree. On my third birthday, you put paper lanterns on my tree. So this was his, let's go back one page, boys and girls. This is his first birthday. He had streamers. His second birthday, he was 2 years old. He had balloons. So on his third birthday, which means that he was 3 years old, which some of you are 3 years old, he had paper lanterns on his tree. And this is a paper lantern right here. It's a different shape from the one that he has. His is the shape of cylinders. And this one is the shape of a spear. And remember we talked about cylinders here like this and spears. And this is a paper lantern, and he had paper lanterns which hung from his tree. So let me show you how his lantern hung from his tree. He had branches. And this is how his lantern hung from his tree, maybe like that. Here we go. So I'm going to change that around. I'm sorry, boys and girls. So this is Miss Muhammad. Here we go. His lantern hung from his tree, just like that. And this is another lantern here. This is also a lantern right here. And what was on your tree last year? So he was 3 right here. So if he's 3 right here, what comes after 3? 4. So he was 4 years old last year. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was 4 years old. And Lido says, bird cages. You put tiny bird cages all over my tree. So he had bird cages on his tree as well. And this is a tiny, this is a tiny bird cage right here. I say, you put tiny bird cages all over my tree, and this birthday is bells and chimes. I race around my tree, I touch the branches, and they ring. Lito and I sit and listen to the wind. Now we need wind to make the trees grow as well. The wind helps the trees grow. And look at the tree. The tree has a trunk, and it has branches, and it has leaves. Look at all those leaves. And Do you think maybe in the winter time the leaves fall off of this tree? It looks like it's a deciduous tree. A deciduous tree is a tree where in the fall all the leaves fall off the tree. And when the tree stays green forever and it has green leaves, it's called an evergreen tree. We listen to my tree. We munch our apples. I asked, what will you put on my tree next year, Lito? So he's eating fruit, and we know that fruit is very good for us. And apples, I'm sure everyone loves apples. Apples are good, and apples are the shape of a spear, just like this paper lantern was. Lito chuckles and winks. Pablo, that's a surprise. The end. Well, I hope you boys and girls enjoyed my story. I hope to see you next time for story time. Enjoy. Thank you. Bye.